What is up, everyone? So I wanted to check out this review for Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I did complete the game. I probably dropped about 40 hours into it. Completed the main story, did a majority of side missions, explored stuff like that. I had a few gripes with the game as far as like repetitiveness. I felt like it was repetitive when taking down towers. It was always kind of the same thing. And like to the beginning to the middle was the main missions was like shut down this cooler and then turn this valve and explode this. It was kind of very much like Far Cry in that sense. Overall, I would have gave the game a 7 out of 10 because it was a lot of fun. That repetitiveness did subside toward the end of the game where it became a lot more action-packed and stealth-oriented. Side missions also were repetitive in a sense of a lot of investigations. They were fun, but after a while, it just kept feeling like the same thing. The game is overall actually pretty hard. I tried it on hard. It was extremely hard, and normal was really difficult too. But I wanted to check out this guy's review. We could see what he has to say, because I would give the game overall a 7 out of 10. It did feel like a Far Cry game, but a tad better. I mean, they were working on it for a couple years. I think about 8 years, but let's see.
Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is a game that has me pleasantly surprised, but it's also what I feared it would be. It took me around 25 hours to finish the main story campaign, and there's still a lot I can do. Like, I only explored half of the enormous map after the credits rolled, and am now helping other Na'vi in the many side missions. I'm still going after some upgrades I missed, and there are many outposts I did not take over yet. Like, there's a ton here, but I still cannot recommend it to everyone, thanks to technical issues I experienced, the surprisingly difficult
Guys, real quick, I was playing on the Xbox Series X. In the beginning, I did not see too much of the glitching. Toward the end was a lot of glitching and frame rate dropping. I hope they do fix that eventually. There's actually a glitch I made a short out of. All the people that were supposed to be injured were standing up on their hospital beds. And then also when you're in combat, if you get caught and you run onto a next floor, they'll shoot you literally through the floor and they'll be miles away. You'll be like, where the hell is this gunfire coming from? And you just get wiped out. That was really annoying with certain missions, though, with the stealth missions, because once you're caught, that's it. They'll follow you forever.
Combat and an overall forgettable story. But you've probably already noticed it, something that Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora absolutely nails.
It was beautiful, though.
Visuals, something that the movies are of course known for as well. Summoning your Ikran and hopping on the back to explore the incredible environments is still impressive.
That was fun.
More than 30 hours I played. There are 3 very distinct looking regions in the Western Frontier, which a brand new part of Pandora that we have not seen before. It's pretty crazy to go from the dense forest early on in the game to the colorful plains where you can suddenly see everything in the distance. You can ride around on a dire horse here, spot different creatures. This is totally the best looking open world Ubisoft has ever created. But Avatar for me has always been more than just the crazy looking visuals. Not sure that's still the main reason to go see the films in theater, but I also like how they really take their time for the world building and do a great job at setting up relationships between the Na'vi, the tribes, the families they have, and their ongoing conflict against the humans, the RDA, that are abusing their planet for their own gain. Frontiers of Pandora never reaches that same emotional level though, and there are multiple reasons for this. So to get you up to speed, no story spoilers of course in this video, but at the start of the game we are a young Na'vi captured by the RDA. In a series of cutscenes you see that the life in one of their bases is far from ideal, but luckily we managed to break free, are put into cryo sleep to survive, and then wake up 16 years later. Like the first time you can actually control your character, you try to escape the base and can then finally reach the outside world. Like, we've been held inside this facility for as long as we remember, but we now can finally explore Pandora and learn what it means to be a Na'vi. And while the options are pretty limited, you can make your own character. Pick between 3 different voices that you will hear throughout the whole game, and if you don't like the things you selected, you can always change them later on.
The story-wise, I would say was pretty good. I didn't really like the Na'vi male voice. It kind of sounded whiny to me. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but that to me, he just sounded whiny. I don't know what it was.
So an hour into the game, you go to your Resistance hideout, which will be your base of operations. And the plan now is to unite the other Na'vi clans in this part of Pandora to put an end to the RDA and their destruction. And meeting the different clans for the first time is totally one of the highlights of the story, as they will all have their own unique way of living, their own problems that you can help with, and they all handle the struggle against the RDA in different ways. Every clan has a few key characters that are very well realized, which makes it extra sad that we only spent a little time with them. Just when I was getting attached to some of my favorites, you were asked to move on to the other
next
clan,
region,
and then won't really interact with these characters in any meaningful way after that. Would be cool to have extra side missions to get to know these characters even better, or romance options, but there's sadly none of that. The biggest problem I had though is that for a story about reuniting clans and taking on a big evil together, the game feels incredibly lonely. If you, by the way, want to help me push this review to more people, then don't leave a like.
Guys, I do agree with that too. Like, any of the missions you were supposed to do with anybody, they wind up attacking the outside and you're on the inside. It was never no compatibility, no partner with you, which kind of sucked, honestly. He's right in that sense, because you definitely are part of a clan. You should be going with different people. But they wanted it like kind of like he's the hero, Navi's the hero, and that's it.
We show you support, and of course subscribe for more Avatar content. If you got questions about the game, also leave them in the comments down below. So the focus on different clans you will meet for the first time, the fact that you have a base of operations where you catch up with key characters, it all really reminded me of how Horizon Forbidden West is structured. But in that game you often fight alongside the clan members or your companions, which really helps create this sort of bond and shows you that you're in this together. In Avatar this never happens. I don't think there's combat AI for other Navis in this game, as I've never seen them fight alongside me, and when it feels like the perfect moment for them to do so, the game always rides around it. Like in this side mission, you meet a Navi who's ready to take on the RDA close by, as they've taken some stolen goods. So I meet her at the RDA site, and then she says, I'm not gonna surround myself with strange metal, so you go do it alone. Okay. Also, often in main missions, you are asked to scout ahead and are told that the others will come later. Or there's a mission where you are stuck in an RDA base while there is a big battle happening outside that you can't see but will only hear about through a radio.
Those were the switches I was talking about too.
The Resistance base will constantly be talking in your ear, saying things like, oh, I wish I was there, which makes it even more annoying that they are never there and that you always explore the world alone. Now sure, there will be cutscenes where you'll see your Navi friends do cool moves and take out the RDA, but the moment the scene is over, you're alone again. And it's not easy to take on the RDA solo. I think I can easily say that Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is the hardest Ubisoft open world game I ever played. Like enemies.
Guys, like I was saying in the beginning, this game is pretty hard though. Even like switching the difficulties, like I even went on to easy just to check it. Still the same. Once you get hit a couple times, you're done. Even high equipment. I was farming for a while. High equipment. I beat it on normal.
Regular soldiers. So the moment you get spotted, there's a high chance you will die, and then you have to redo the whole base or go back to a previous checkpoint and do the mission again. Which both a good and a bad thing. Now I actually did not really mind this myself though. Like I never had to think this hard in order to capture an outpost in a Ubisoft game. I think it's kind of cool. Like I focus on taking out the regular soldiers first, as they can more easily spot you than the slow amp suits. I learned the route of these amp suits and then find the best moment to strike. Like they can take a ton of damage in combat, so it's smart to hack them and then rip the soldier out for
I'll use a shotgun on them.
You can also luckily do this in combination with certain ammo for particular weapons, but that ammo is limited, so smart to use the hacking device when you can. But this tactic does not always work, because not all the RDA suits can be taken out with a melee hit like this, so you have to find other ways. There are also turrets and helicopters that will make your life.
Guys, also for the outpost, it was very easy to cheese. Once you take down one or two of those robot guys, I forget what they're called, the suits, all you have to do is shut two switches down, and if you run over to the valve and you start the valve, they can't kill you. You run in over and you do the cutscene, and then it just gets rid of all the RDA. So that was an easy cheese. After a while, I just started doing that. You could find where the shutoffs are, and the more you sneak through, the more of a prize you get at the end, which was actually better, because at the beginning I was attacking them, but the stealth is the way to go. It's built on a stealth-like game. But after a while, you could just cheese in an honest opinion. You don't even gotta kill most of these. Just kill one or two guys, shut the two switches, and once you get to the valve, you can run in the open, and if they shoot at you, you're not gonna die.
life way harder. Like, you are really forced to make smart use of all the tools in your arsenal. Think of strategic combinations. It's crucial that you remain stealth for as
I use
long
that a
as
lot.
possible so the enemies won't call reinforcements. It can be pretty hardcore, and this on the normal difficulty. I also tried the hard mode, which was even more unforgiving. Like, one wrong move could mean a game over screen. Now again, I like a challenge, but Avatar as a property will of course speak to a way bigger audience, probably including people that rarely play games, and I don't think that they will enjoy these difficulty spikes as much. And I say spikes because these combat encounters are way harder than all the other content in the game. There are namely also missions without any combat, which makes them pretty easy to complete, and a nice change of pace compared to
I
other
love that
Ubisoft
actually.
titles, where you mostly end up fighting one way or the other. In Avatar, you sometimes have to hunt harmless creatures, hack into abandoned RDA facilities, collect certain materials, learn about the lore by interacting with the environment, and there are also activities and missions focused on platforming. Like, the movement in this game is really great. You got a high jump by holding the jump button, so you have way more freedom.
Yeah, you can
in
jump really
navigating
far.
an outpost, for example, compared to say Far Cry. There are plants that can also help you reach new locations. It's just a great way to experience the James Cameron universe. I think any Avatar fan will love this, but I do worry that they cannot enjoy these parts as often because they are stuck at an RDA base for a couple of hours. This is also where the RPG elements come in, because every main mission has a suggested level. Like, you can just follow the main missions without doing any of the side content, but when you do, you will be under-leveled for those missions, which is making the content even more challenging. At a lower level, or when using a lower damage weapon, you will almost do no damage to the RDA. Like, I'm not joking, sometimes
Could be one
after
level.
shooting, the health bar just does not go down. So then you are forced to use these special tactics and avoid combat as much as possible, as you will also die really fast. The problem is though that there's not really a clear way to get that gear score up and improve your weapons. Loot drops are namely very rare and also random, so when
I agree here, guys. Like, even if you were like, let's say you're level 10 and the mission's level 11, they murder you. Like, there's no taking it easy or anything like that. They just, it's such a big jump. It feels like you're level 7 and they're level 15 or something like that, and it's just one level, which is a little crazy. I understand what they were trying to do. You got to level up and you got to get gear and stuff like that, craft the farm and all that stuff. But after a while, it was a little hard. I actually scavenged for the special skills first, and I flew around and got those first. That did help actually, because they're marked on the map in a pink marker.
when you do find a new gear item or weapon, which again doesn't happen often, you also have to be lucky that it's an actual upgrade versus what you're currently using. The other option is to do a ton of side content in order to get an upgrade from one of these special clan shops, or to craft a particular item by looking for materials in the world. But both these options slow down the gameplay significantly, as it can take some time before you can buy something from these clan shops that is better than what you currently have, and without any guides, it can be really tricky to find crafting materials in the world. So then you spend maybe an hour for a new item that you might throw away for a better one a few missions later. Now
well, they kind of do give you a hunter's guide, and they tell you where specific things are and where you could get the rarer types. So you have to get them at certain times. Like sometimes it has to be raining, up in a mountain, depending. But they do give you clues. So it could be a little annoying because it's not always the rare one you get at first. It's not always a rare drop. And it sometimes takes you a while to get one little piece of material. And then after a while, you get a new one upgraded in the main mission, which don't make sense.
I won't deny that seeing that gear score level go up, it's satisfying just like in other RPGs, but I also think that this system is hurting the game overall. It feels weird that my shotgun cannot insta-kill a regular soldier anymore
that was annoying.
because the damage on the item card is low. Now there are still impactful perks on these loot drops, so that still make them a nice reward to get. Again, all the help in this game is needed, but I do think Avatar would have been better off with only the perks, similar to Far Cry, without having this sort of like loot rarity and gear score hardcore grind that only makes things more complicated. Now I gotta say that having the challenging combat with real stakes where you can lose quite a lot of progress if you die does mean that coming prepared and focusing on improving your character is actually important. Like, it's not another Valhalla or Far Cry where you can beat the game with the starting items. No, in Avatar you really have to invest, and you do this through a skill tree that luckily has more impactful skills than I initially thought after my preview session. Like, it's nothing new, but being able to pick up arrows after shooting them or getting more from gathering is super helpful, and you also have special apex skills that you unlock after getting all the skills in one tree, like Second Wind, where you get back up on your feet.
That was pretty cool
After being taken down.
I
there are
like
also
that.
these ancestor skills that have some impactful gameplay benefits, like the before mentioned melee attack that lets you rip soldiers out of their amp suits, and I love how it's all optional. If you don't go look for them in the world, you will not have these bonuses during the main campaign. And
They're
the
easy
same
to
goes
find
for
too.
cooking and crafting. You rarely have to engage with these systems if you just follow the story, while especially the cooking it can be super beneficial. For one of the final missions, I had a 40% damage increase against the RDA, which made things way more manageable, so totally prepping for combat heavy missions is smart. So again, there's still a ton for me to do after the credits rolled. These side missions that you can find at the different camps by talking to certain NPCs are way more fleshed out than I anticipated. Like, they all contain fun little stories that you will figure out as you go. You will learn more about a Navi's way of life, get into unique combat scenarios that are not found in main missions, and you sometimes also get some pretty nice rewards. I can still do a ton of hunting and gathering for better equipment. There are random open world activities that I've not engaged with yet, like from this trailer where you have to help a hard creature.
Actually, that was a cool mission.
In my 30 plus hours. So again, there's quite a lot for me to explore. This game is massive. Now I do hope that as I keep playing, the performance gets better post-launch. Like, I've been mainly playing on PC, and even after turning most of my settings down, while my PC should clearly be able to handle things, I would still get frame drops here and there when a cutscene would start, or when switching weapons in the heat of battle. There were some progression issues where I would reach a certain location in a different way than the game had intended, so then I could not really progress further unless I went back and went in the right way. There was an invisible wall that I could not shoot through, but the enemies could.
See, that's what I was talking about. It's funny.
Overall,
so it's something that happened to everybody.
Happen often enough that it gets annoying, especially the frame drops. Again, some key moments just did not hit as hard for me because I mostly had to wait 5 seconds before I could see what was going on. I only got my PS5 review code thanks to Ubisoft a few hours before I was able to publish my review, and I think this has to do with the day 1 patch that needs to be installed for the game to work on console, so even if you have a physical copy. But from what I played so far, it runs pretty smooth. No frame drops so far. There's a quality and performance mode on PS5. Cutscenes seem to be more fluid, sometimes without a black screen before the conversation. It's totally better than my experience on PC. Now, I will be streaming the game and also doing the co-op, so you can see how that is. I will leave a link to that stream in the pinned comment, so you can check that out for more PS5 gameplay and to see the multiplayer in action. And you can, of course, also ask your questions there. Like, yeah, I look forward to jumping back into the game after this review is done, see what else it has to offer. I'll be doing a ton of tips and tricks as well that I cannot wait to make for you. Like, if you are a fan of the Avatar franchise, then it's an easy recommend, as everywhere you turn, you see that there has been care put into this. You see that the Avatar filmmakers at Disney were very hands-on and made sure that all the details were correct, but if you never cared for the James Cameron universe, then this game won't change that either. Like, they can easily skip this and you won't miss much. The worst parts of Avatar, like the forgettable main villains, the uninteresting plot, boring RDA designs, don't help this game. It's
Every character looked the same.
The most important missions take place in the grey, uninspired facilities, fighting the same enemies over and over again. Then again, it does make sense for a game set in the Avatar world, I guess. Like, as I feared, the enemy variety is almost non-existent, with only some rare encounters against creatures, which we could have used.
There's like one creature that you face,
it is
really.
satisfying to take out these outposts because tactics
See,
are
Valve.
really needed.
It's always the same.
The higher than expected difficulty could also be a turn-off to people who are maybe not as hardcore, but still want to experience the Avatar world through a new medium. I want to start giving games scores at the end. To give you an idea, at how I feel and would rank them against other titles I played and reviewed, I would give Avatar a 7.5. I think it's a really great open world Ubisoft game to get lost in, especially if you love Avatar. But if you don't have a lot with the series and are not dying for something new to play, then totally wait for a discount or just skip it altogether. Like, this will be the perfect pickup for half the price or through Ubisoft Plus, as only
I agree.
real Avatar lovers, I think, will find the satisfaction at full price at release. Again, if you have any questions about the game, let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe for way more Avatar content. I will have a ton of spoiler-free tips and tricks, of course, coming your way, and way more.
All right, guys. So he pretty much said a lot what I said. With the repetitive characters, the RDA guys and stuff like that. Like I said too, if he said in the video too as well, if you didn't watch the Avatar movies, you may not like it. I didn't really remember the Avatar movies. I picked it up because it looked like a cool action game. It does get a little boring after a while with some of the main missions, but if you hang in there to the end, it does pick up a lot. But I would score probably a 7 because of the repetitive factor and stuff like that. But as far as like exploring and riding around, it is a lot of fun. The difficulty could push people out of the way. Even like I said, I just tested on all different difficulties. Hard was extremely hard. Normal was pretty hard as well. Easy was actually pretty difficult. I'm surprised. It didn't feel like an easy mode. So I tried it on every different mode. It was pretty hard on easy, which did make sense. Even upgraded and your skill levels and your armor were all upgraded up and still had a lot of trouble with it. Like I said, I would give it probably a 7. I definitely, if you're unsure about this game, I would definitely wait till it goes on sale, especially till after the holidays. It'll probably drop down $20, $30. Then it's worth playing. But some people are going to feel like it's just Far Cry with blue people. And it does feel that way because of the repetitiveness with the outposts and stuff like that. If you're a stealth player, you'll love this. But I'm not as far as like a stealthy kind of guy. So I did get bored after a little bit of a while. But like I said, it would give it a 7. And if you're interested in this game, I would say wait till after the holidays if you're not a giant Avatar fan. If you are, then pick it up. Hope you enjoyed, guys.